All right. Happy Monday, everybody. We are thrilled to have you on our third campaign kickoff call. If you're new to the campaign kickoff calls, we host these every Monday as a way to go through what we have planned for you this week. We're going to break down some of the text campaigns, the sales campaigns, the email campaigns, and of course, social media and direct mail. What's been so fun for me, Lee, and I'd love to get your take on this is the amount of people who attend these calls who immediately hang up and execute and get a win is like growing exponentially.
It's awesome.
So I just love seeing it, man. I know you get some wins you want to share as well. We got some wins we want to share from last week because we always want to kick these calls off with some wins. Where are we at right now on the win side?
Yeah, I got some really great stuff. Somebody sent out 400 emails, and we're going to keep this broad to the content from last week, to be
Yeah.
clear. So 50% open rate on 400 emails, which is super solid.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody did 60 emails, 28 opens, 5 responses, 4 appointments, a few of which were in the $2 million range. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that'll pay for your subscription for a minute. Um, 43 open emails, 8 text replies, 1 buyer consult, and 1 listing appointment. Email to 25 with 2 answers. Somebody who started hounding them and became a buyer consult.
Yep.
And 1 direct mail. I wanted to include a direct mail win because we like those. We got 119 letters sent, 11 responses, home value leads on those, and 2
Mm-hmm.
inbound calls from the direct mail
Yeah.
letter. So it's good
I
stuff.
love it. I love it. You'll hear me and Lee say this every single week, which is that, we're going to cover a lot of material today, going to go over the plan this week. But there's 3 things you got to remember. The agent who has the most conversations wins. The way to have more conversations is through better marketing. And the only way to get good at marketing is through consistency. And that's where the results really do come from that repetition. And so what happens is I want you to, in the world that we live in real estate right now, Lee, it is so easy to get sidetracked with what's happening in the news related to real estate. Today, as we're recording this training, Compass just announced they've acquired the Anywhere brand. I mean, you could spend 24 hours, 48 hours going through every Facebook group to get every pundit's perspective on how this is going to impact the industry and what about consolidation and monopolies and what about Zillow? Are they going to buy this other company next? I mean, like you could get distracted. And a great line I've read recently that really inspired me was this individual said, distractions look like opportunities when you don't know where you're going. And I thought to myself, what a great line. When you can when you could put the blinders on, just focus on what we all know that you all do well, which is help people buy and sell. I mean, this stuff is going to come and go. So it's interesting. Listen, I love it too. I'm not immune to it, but at the same time, we're here to help people buy and help people sell, and we got plenty of time left in this year to do it. So on that note, why don't we kick things off and talk about last week's plan and kind of going into this week's plan. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. And when I'm doing this, I'll pull this up so you can see this here. The big thing I want to focus on is I think last week was really defined by the fact that interest rates finally started to go down a little bit. Now, last time I checked on Mortgage News Daily, they're on 6.3% this morning. That might drop a little bit going into this week here, but finally we're starting to see some release. Now, Lee, I read an article this morning that mortgage applications, specifically around refinancing, was up 21%, which is actually the highest it's been since 2021. So
Wow.
what the point that we're seeing, Lee, I think it's an important kind of point to call out, is we're starting to see a little bit of an increase in activity, right? Increase on buy side, increase on sell side. And actually in the chat right now, let us know, are you starting to see buyers and sellers come out of the woodwork a little bit? Summer's now officially over, sort of, right? Technically. And now we're heading into sort of the latter half of the year. Are you seeing an increase in activity right now? Yeah, you see, yes, yes, yes. More sellers and buyers. Yeah, we've seen that. No question about that. And this is good news. I mean, we gotta capitalize on this going into the latter half of the year. So here's where our head's at for this week. I think the big trend is we are always looking to do 2 things. improve what we currently do and provide some variation for the repetitive tasks, and also make sure the content is timely and relevant. So, Lee, I want to call out this week we did something really interesting, which is we did this campaign around Deal of the Week. And Lee, actually, if you want to do me a favor and drop a link to the Deal of the Week tool, because I
Yes.
know we want to make
Yeah.
sure we
Oh,
remind everyone
absolutely.
of that.
Absolutely.
But if you think about the Deal of the Week, we designed a brand new Instagram story for you designed to capture someone's attention. The goal here is it's to stop them in the scroll. And so we want to do a kind of a play on this idea of like not safe for work angle, but using a listing instead of course, not safe for work material. And what's cool about this campaign is really designed to kind of communicate that, hey, we got something interesting here worth checking out. So Mondays are always deal of the week days. We want you sending out the deal of the week Instagram story, and we want you posting your deal of the week email as well. As a quick reminder, Lee dropped over. We do have a free tool that you can all use, automate.listingleads.com/deal, where if you're trying to simplify the process, we can help you find the best deal. I don't care, Lee, if it's an off-market listing, a home that's gone viral on Zillow, or like maybe it's a pocket listing from someone in your office. The goal here is to find something that you believe to be the very best deal. Now, to be clear, it doesn't actually have to be a home that just hit the market. It could be, Lee, a price reduction. I
Yep.
mean, a significant price reduction. You could feature that as a deal of the week, because right now, for people who are tuning in right now, we know that every weekly, with the amount of listings that are hitting the market, we know that the people who really need to sell are willing to do a price reduction that's going to be significant enough to get attention.
Yep.
And I just
Yep.
I just think that's one thing to call out. And I'm actually curious in the chat, Lee, I'll get your take on this as well. What is the percentage drop that you think would be worth highlighting? Meaning, if a listing, let's assume that's not wildly overpriced. And let me know in the chat right now, like where your head goes. Is a 10% drop really significant? Is a 15% drop really significant? What's that kind of magic? Like, what's a maybe the question here, Lee, just as we're workshopping this, is what's a percentage drop that you know the seller's serious, in your opinion? What's your take on that, Lee?
Yeah. I probably shouldn't say this on a live webinar, but my house is literally on the market and we literally just got an offer. So I've literally been in this conversation and mindset personally.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, 10% is a crazy number. And obviously, I mean, I think it's 10% is a significant number. But I think
Hmm.
also when you're in these price points, now that we're in this general higher price range, a quarter point mortgage drop is a pretty substantial payment difference that either gets you into a different price point, a different neighborhood, or it gets you back in the market at a price point that feels comfortable to you instead of like we got to pay 100 grand over list like we were doing a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well, you just see everyone's kind of agreeing at 10%, 7 to 10%. Mia saying a 15%. Well, the beauty is like if a home's been on the market for, let's say, 60 days and they do a 10% price drop, you now have I think we could all assume we have
Right.
a motivated seller.
I think it's fair to almost use the term that that's a new listing. It is in a new category.
Great point. Great point. Yeah, great point. I think there's a way that you could frame that. So if I were to, let's say, I just want to kind of go down a rabbit hole with you guys right now. Is let's say I'm doing a deal of the week, and let's say this week, let's paint a hypothetical, Lee. This week in my farm, I've got maybe 12 new listings to hit the market, none of which are really stand out, none of which are really worth featuring. But I have right now 160 homes that are actively listed. I might go back and look at the ones that are at, let's say, a 10% drop or anything that's dropped 7 to 10% last week. And I might say, the reason I'm reaching out is because this rarely happens. This home is a home that just dropped its price by 8.5%. Now it's been sitting, which always is a bad sign, but like now I would kind of turn the corner like, But I think at this price, it was a little bit overvalued. But its new price, I think it's actually properly valued, which is why I'm featuring it as my deal of the week. Here's why I love this home. Blah 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 blah. So I just think there's an opportunity to have a little bit of a twist there with the deal of the week. I want you to be consistent with it. That's the most important thing. You guys with me on this? Like you can go the deal of the week route with a new listing, or if your pipeline's full, then or I mean not pipeline, your inventory is like climbing. Let's find maybe some of those price drops and use that as an angle. Either one is designed to do one thing, which is get them to raise their hand, Lee.
Yep. Jimmy, I want to throw in one other quick thing because I feel like I got some clarity around this, maybe on our last campaign kickoff call. The idea is not, you're not sharing a link, you're not sharing photo, you're not sharing a listing. Actually, to be fair, I said this last week, but this is like the old days of us having this magic MLS book with the secret deal.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about CTA last week as well. The CTA is to reply. It is incredibly simple. It should feel like an email that you wrote and sent out personally to them, not,
Yeah.
hey, database, check out this deal. I found this cool deal. I'm sharing it with you only, is the feeling. Reply
Hmm.
back if you want to know more about this deal. Then you take it from there. Then you put on your real estate agent hat and do your thing.
That's exactly right. The goal is for reply. So Monday's always deal of the week. Let's talk about Tuesday for tomorrow, email of the week. So we did something with the email of the week that I love, that I hope you'll appreciate here with this message here is you'll see us do this over and over and over again. The subject line of this email, again, this email is really designed to go to your entire database, not just your prospects, your clients, your entire database. But the subject line of this email is do this before you decide to sell. Now, if somebody opens up that email, Lee, I know they have some level of intent. They have some level of intent. Maybe they're 6 months out, 12 months out. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take my database of 1,000 people and I'm
Yep.
trying to find a 50 or 100 people I need to talk to this week. And I'm going to give you a quick pro tip here. David Ogilvy, the patron saint of advertising, famously said, "You are not advertising to a standing audience. You are advertising to a marching band." And so the people that you sent an email to last week, this is hard to conceptualize because it feels abstract, but the people you sent an email to last week who maybe saw your email, didn't open, didn't click, something in their life could have changed, probably has changed, where this week all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, actually, now that this thing just happened, that I just finally got the job offer, or I finally got some finality on this external event, I can now move into the planning process. And so you're not advertising to a standing audience, you're advertising to a marching band, which is why consistency matters. So the subject line is do this before you decide to sell. That is going to build our sales prospecting list of the week. Now, we use some relevant data. There are now 500,000 more homes, so more sellers than buyers in the US. Don't try to sell your house without a proactive strategy. Now, we call this a value-based email. This is an email where we're trying to give some information away beyond just the direct response. If I need to sell my house in this market where buyers have plenty of options, here's exactly what I would do. I'd study the nearby listings. I'd build some momentum before it hits the markets. I'd analyze most buyers and develop a custom marketing strategy to target those buyers. Not all homes are selling, but some are. The difference is an expert strategy. And now what I'm doing here is I'm intentionally not including a CTA in the main message. Now, if I were to send this message today, I would likely personalize this for my market. You know what I mean? I'm giving you some national data so you can just swipe and send. So if you got no time, take it, send it, be done. But if you got a little bit of time, I might include a little bit of local data. I'd replace that opening line with there are now 500,000 more sellers and home buyers. I might say, in this case, Lee, there are now 2,353 more homes for sale in Phoenix than last year this time, right?
Absolutely. And let me add two quick things to this. Number one, I love that number that it ends in a one. It's not like an average or whatever. It's a very specific number. Um, I even got involved with this email. Like the whole team dug into this email and really went deep on it. I think it's great. And one more thing to kind of throw in to your earlier point, Jamie, a lot of things are changing right now. the season changing, the race just changed. People are back in school, generally speaking, depending on where you're located. Like, this is a season of change. There is a
Yeah.
great opportunity right now to execute some of it. Like, if you've never sent out a piece of Listing Leads content ever, this would be the week to do it. The
Hmm.
hour after
Hmm.
this call would be the hour to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Lee. And we got a question from Nina in the chat. Nina says, "Is it okay to send this to people who helped buy a house this year?" Nina, this would be probably one of the rare exceptions where anyone who's transacted recently, I would actually probably exclude from that email. The deal of the week is a great email because they can forward it to their friend. This is not really a forwardable email. So, as a general rule of thumb, if the email is something of value that they could forward to their friend related to a new listing, I'm cool sending it to someone who bought last week, right? Uh, but if it's an email like this, which is more of a value-based email around selling, I would likely exclude that individual. Now, remember, you've heard me and Lee coaches before. I want you excluding, not including, which is you can make a list, like build your to don't list, not your to do list. You can make a list of saying, who are the obvious groups of people I probably shouldn't email this week? Well, if they bought a house last week, maybe I'll exclude them. Maybe if they're out of state sellers who, maybe they closed 10 years ago, I'll exclude them. But I want you excluding, not including. Because what you'll find is that exclusion list will be maybe 2 or 3 segments, 2 or 3 tags in your CRM stages, baby, but that's it. And then we can get the email out the door. So again, this is a value-based email. Let's keep building on to the text message campaign. Now, here's one of the things, Lee. I'm looking at that. By the way, we have a text chain in our with Lee and I and about 20 agents right now, where we're just going back and forth on different ideas and strategies. Lee, I saw this text this morning. I'm gonna see if I can grab it right now. Where wow, yeah, this is the one where the agent sent out 60 emails, which is a small group, 28 opens, and they followed up with everyone who opened. They text all 28 people. And that's the one that turned into one person who wants to buy and sell, 2 additional buyers, and 1 condo buyer. So 4 transactions, excuse me, I can do math. 5 transactions, 5 transactions. I can do math because buy side and sell side. 5 transactions from this one strategy, which is sending an email and then texting people who open the email. So remember, as a quick reminder, and please, 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 in the chat, let us know if there's anything unclear about this, and just say, I'm clear in the chat if you understand this. We want you sending out the Tuesday email through whatever email provider you want to use. And then on Wednesday, I want you texting everybody who opened up that email. Now, keep in mind, you might have people like that you don't have a relationship with. So, hey, and this one here, this is the text of the week. I know you're not in the market, but I saw XYZ property that just got listed, and I thought of you. What do you think of the list price? And what we're trying to do here is we're not going the direct response right of like, do you want to sell your house? If we had a great offer, would you sell? We're just trying to have it. This is just designed to be a conversation starter. So we're sending the email out and then we're following up with this email. Now, Lee, if I don't know the person who opened up the email, I would say, I'm not sure if you're in the market.
Right.
But I saw this home that just hit the market and I thought I'd send it over. What do you think of the list price?
Jimmy, say that one more time because I just replied to a response from somebody that was remotely similar, like acknowledging that there's a nuance here.
Yeah,
Super
sure.
important. So I'd love for you to say exactly what you just said again, like the slight change that makes it feel like it's written for them instead of a bulk text.
Yeah, so I would say, hi, Lee. I'm not sure if you're in the market, but I saw that 123 Main Street just got listed, and I thought it would be worth sharing. What do you think of the list price? And maybe I would include a link as a second text to the actual home on my website or in Zillow, whatever I'm using at that point. And all I'm trying to do here is remember the very first principle Lee and I coach you on. The agent who has the most conversations wins. And actually, in the chat right now, let me know. Let me know if you get in front of a buyer and seller where you actually have a good conversation with them. What is your win rate? Is it like 90% of the time they're going to hire you? 50% of the time they're going to hire you? Like if they meet you face to face, if they talk to you or they hear your voice, you have a good conversation. Like is it like 90%, 70%, 50%? Let me know in the chat right now. Jim's saying 90%. What is the percentage they're going to hire you once you actually have a great conversation with them? Fabiola saying 90%. Catherine saying 85%. Maria 95%. We haven't got 100% yet, Lee yet. Emily saying
I think
99%.
there's humans involved. 100% is maybe not a real
Yes,
thing.
there's Denise 99%. So like, here's the thing. It's when Lori and I meet together, it's Jim saying it's a no-brainer. Totally agree, right? Like when
Love
they
it.
meet, it's like a no-brainer. And so like you can't create that magical moment unless we get our foot in the door. You with me on this, team? Like the magical moment of them responding to a text and then that feeling like, oh, this feels like really obscure again and abstract. That's just the first step to having a conversation. And then all of a sudden, we're now converting at 95%.
Yeah.
So that's
And
all we're trying to do with the campaigns. Yeah, go
Jimmy,
ahead,
I
Lee.
think the goal, I think sometimes, to be totally honest with you, I even forget this in thinking about all the words and the execution of this content. The goal is to get that appointment because you guys have these closing rates. Would you spend an hour sending out content to get 5 appointments? I'm thrilled that this
Mm.
guy in the text did. I think that's an easy answer, especially if your close rate is 80% or higher.
Yep.
I mean, period, end of story. Like, and these are big numbers. We're not talking about you're not selling widgets and getting like $15 every time you do it. This is a substantial thing.
100%. 100%. So Lee, what I want to talk about next, I'm going to pull this up here because every week we've been talking for the last few weeks. If you go back to the plan for the last few weeks, we've been hitting your social media following, we've been hitting your database, we've been hitting your CRM, obviously with some sales scripts. We've got create some video content. I mean, like when you go back and if you just look, I mean, this is September, Lee. If you look at like September, I mean, we've got I mean, if you're just doing the things that we're coaching you on, and I love the accountability of these calls, and I love the fact that we're doing these campaign kickoff calls. What's going to happen is we're going to always throw in what we refer to kind of internally as an accelerator, which is a campaign that we know works that you probably haven't done for some time that we want to remind you of. And so here's an example of that. On Thursday, we're recommending that you use the ZMA letter. Now, the beauty of a campaign like this is it's really designed to ensure that we're following up with people and that are new people outside of our database, outside of maybe who we normally follow up with. So, as a reminder, the ZMA was one of the most successful campaigns we've ever created at Listing Leads, which is basically saying, hey, I went on Zillow, I checked out your home's value. They say it's worth X. I have my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And we did it as a text message campaign. We evolved that to a ZMA letter, which is something you could prospect with when you're reaching out to people in your farm. So, by the way, I have the text. I'm gonna pull up here in a second. Todd sent this out, and he's got two listings from the ZMA letter. I mean, so it is one of the highest converting letters you can send. Let me just walk you through it because I think it'd be helpful, Lee. Just kind of go through
Yeah,
the
for
basics
sure.
here. So the first thing is I'm going to do my farm. I'm going to take my farm that I've been hitting every month of maybe 1,000 doors or 2,000 doors, and I'm going to segment that farm down to about 100 high likelihood to sell. So this might be Lee over the age of 60, own the house for 15 years,
Yep.
have 50% equity, right? I'm going to really narrow down to like the 100 houses I think are most likely to list. Now, people use different software products for that, Lee, to like
Yeah,
help them with that.
I know. I
Like,
was
do you have any
debating
thoughts
getting
there?
into that. You know what I would do want to mention super quick though? I think people know this in general, but I've had a lot of conversations recently. A lot of you guys have a product called Remind through your MLS that you're either not paying for or maybe an upgrade to pay more for it to get some of this information. So I just wanted to, we're not going to go deep on how to do that, but there are resources, many of them free, to get into that. But keep rocking, Jimmy.
Yeah, so my goal would be this. Typically, these end up having you can see Todd's success story on this, by the way. So shout out to Todd. I mean, like I love first I love the manila folder. I love this, right? I love this. Shout out to Todd for just absolutely executing this. Here's my advice is you take your farm, you make a list of 100 houses. You can do this over the course of 2 weeks, 50 this week and 50 next week. Totally fine. What you're going to do is you're going to find that customer's Zestimate on Zillow, and you're going to take a screenshot of their Zestimate. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull up because we have a Canva template here, Lee. And when you're in the Canva template, you're just going to replace the actual screenshot. That's all you're doing. And the reason that we're doing this, and of course you're going to update your number here, but you're just swapping this screenshot up over and over and over again. So this is a great, by the way, if you have an EA or a VA, or you have a niece or nephew or son or daughter who is looking for some extra work on the weekend, this is a great like entry level position. But you're going to make a list of all the houses, and then you're going to go to Zillow, and you're going to get a screenshot of that house, and you're going to replace that in the letter, and that's going to be the letter that you send. It's going to take you a little bit more time than a traditional, copy, paste, send kind of campaign. However, the response rate on these campaigns is we've seen as high as 10%. So it's a little bit more effort up front, but it's a lot higher return. Now we have a fake sticky note here. My advice would be, if I was doing this, Lee, is I would actually have a sticky note and I'd put it on it, a real sticky note on it. Lee, there are services, we'll find this afterwards. There are services that will print out sticky notes for you too. Um, have you seen those? Have you seen that before? We
I
had some in
haven't
the
seen
group.
that. That's pretty great. Although again, you know what? I got a pen right here, and I got some sticky notes in my drawer. Like,
Oh, yeah,
fortune
yeah.
favors the execution, but
That's the most Lee answer ever, which is I'm like, you should sign for the service. It'll print out
right.
100. Yes, yes.
Here's
In
my
the
affiliate
meantime,
link.
yeah, Lee's right. You can just have your assistant write this thing. But if you're doing like 10 a day, which again will probably take you 20 to 30 minutes, get them out the door. You can do 100 of these over the course of the next 2 weeks. And that is going to create at least 2 to 3 additional seller conversations, which will likely lead to a listing. Lee, I can't tell you, like, there are very few things that you can do 100 of and get a listing. This is one of them. And this is why we want to have it as part of this week's plan. So coming back to the plan this week, today is deal of the week. Let's get the deal of the week done. Let's get the Instagram story out the door. I want you to schedule the email of the week. If you got time, personalize it. If not, just get it out the door. Then get ready for Sales Wednesday, which is I want you hitting the phones, texting anybody who opened up. Let's turn that engagement we created on Monday and Tuesday, let's turn that into appointments for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Meanwhile, as we got our database really kind of serviced, let's then add in the ZMA so we can start getting our brand in front of people who don't know who we are. And then lastly, Lee, we always like to end Friday with something social media related or video related. We have a brand new Instagram story, which again goes back to the email of the week, kind of tying it back to the theme, which is what's happening on the sell side. And then this is designed to be, again, a conversation starter. If more homes come on the market, I will blank. Consider buying, looking for investment property, wait until 2026. Folks, I'm telling you, Instagram stories are a cheat code. I have had countless numbers of customers reach out and say, I did a story, I got some reply, we had a conversation, we booked an appointment, I took a listing. And it like literally takes them 10 seconds to copy and paste it from Canva, add their logo, and then go. So I'm adding this because I wanna take advantage of the business you have right now in your pipeline, which is in your CRM, but I also want to be building up your brand through these other channels like direct mail and social media. So Lee, on that note, I want to stick around for questions, but we covered a lot of material today. This is this week's plan. We want to get people in motion and get them set up for success so we can keep this momentum going in September, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's so great seeing the wins. I just dropped 2 important links in the chat. One is to share a win, so we can include you. We're not going to mention your name on the future campaign kickoff session.
Yeah.
let's see, tackle these. Boom, got that guy. I
Door
also
knocking
dropped.
counts. Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy, can you speak briefly to the difference between the deal of the week tool, which finds you a listing, and the automation tool, to which I just dropped the wait list link? And somebody said, "When's the wait list?" And I said, "Stick around. I can't tell you, but
Yeah.
you'll know soon."
So, so we are one of the most common bits of feedback we've gotten at listing leads is first off, we've gotten overwhelmingly positive feedback for the work we do at listing leads. And I'm incredibly proud of the fact that we have so many of you every week executing these ideas. I was just at an event in New Jersey. I drove down from Boston to Jersey, which by the way is longer than I thought it was going to be, about 6 hours. And in the audience, I was talking to uh, it just happened to be happenstance because we now have over 4,000 members in the community. I had 5 agents come up to me and tell me individual success stories they've had with listing leads. One on expireds, one on just consistency with email and getting results. One that was like, hey, the magic buyer letter is truly magic. And so the thing that we know is that like we know if we can take the heavy lifting off your plate to develop the marketing strategy for the week, create the campaigns, that like the likelihood of you executing is going to go up 100-fold. However, the number one bit of feedback we've gotten is, can we automate some of this? And how many of you can relate to this right now in the chat? Let me know. Like, how many of you are like, hey, we love everything. We try to do as much as we can, but it would be amazing if you guys can automate some of this for us. Like, let me know in the chat right now. Because Lee, that has been probably the number one, two, and three request was
Yep.
please, please, please help us automate it.
Yep.
And so the two things that we're working on right now, which is we've kind of already come up with this publicly, is called Listing Leads AI mode. And AI mode is going to allow us to automate the research, the writing, and the sending of the deal of the week campaign. Additionally, we're actively working on it right now where we're going to be able to write and send the email of the week. So we're not only going to do the deal of the week, but we're also going to be adding in sending the actual email of the week for you. We think that because email marketing is one of the highest leverage activities, we just know that people really are going to want to save some time and just make sure they get this done. And so, Lee, when I was doing the lens out for a second, the tool that we're releasing with AI mode is going to enable our clients and all of our members to just consistently send emails out, and then their to-do list gets a little bit smaller. Then they're focusing on texting or the mailing and not focusing on the email. The beauty is at Listing Leads, we are so insanely passionate about keeping our cost low, so we keep your costs low. Most tools of this nature, Lee, I mean, they're 300, 700 or more dollars per month for our customers. We're doing two things at Listing Leads. Number one, we're giving every single Listing Leads a customer a 30-day free trial to experience the benefit, get an ROI. But then also, our prices are going to be starting as low as $99 for up to 3,000 contacts, which, by the way, is going to be the vast majority of people on today's call. And so it's going to be a very low cost, high value solution. When you compare it to what else is out there, if you were to hire a writer or if you were to pay for one of these all-in-one solutions, you're typically paying 6, 7, 8 times more for sending. We're keeping our costs really low, so we keep our clients' costs really low. So we're incredibly excited about AI mode. It is coming. We are trust me, this is a massive priority for us. We will have updates by the time that we meet again next week for the campaign kickoff call. But trust us when we say, like, it is our goal and our vision here to automate as much of this as possible while maintaining the quality. And that's the important thing, the quality and the results. So on that note, Lee, I know we got to run. This has been a great call. Lee, real quick, for those people who are new to Listing Leads, we have a webinar tomorrow as well, which is a Listing Leads Basics. We have a link to that as well.
Actually, it's next week, but I'll drop the link and I'll post it in the Facebook. We do it every other week. But yes, we
Perfect.
have a Listing Leads Basic. So what I'll do, I'll drop in the Facebook group the registration link and the playlist of the prior sessions.
I love that. I love that. And be sure, be active in the group. I'm in there, Lee's in there, Bethany's in there. We're all in there to help you support your business. We want you to win. So thank you so much for being part of today's campaign kickoff. Let's get out there and actually execute these campaigns, and we will see you next week and we'll share the wins. Thanks, everyone.